if you do not enjoy this thing that you're doing, you're just not going to want to stay with it.
Yeah,
and so even if you don't like strength training in the beginning, you will. Like, I will guarantee almost 100% of the people, if they started strength training program and actually stuck with it for like 4 to 6 weeks, they would enjoy it. And then it would just be a part of their life, right? But then the other stuff, like, I hate spin class, you guys. I would never go to a bar class, but people love it. And I'm like, do that on your other days, like, go to your HIIT class if you want, because you enjoy it.
And like you said, you don't have to do strength training 5 days a week. You just 2 days a week, and then do your other fun bar and Pilates and spin shit the other day.
Yeah.
Welcome to Cut the Crap with Beth and Matt, the world's #1 no bullshit health and fitness podcast.
Are you ready to cut the crap with your diet and exercise, get strong as fuck, and build a healthy relationship with food? Then you've come to the right place.
Let's go. If you'd like to support us in the podcast, join our Patreon, where you get exclusive content, which consists of monthly workouts you can do at home or at the gym, monthly challenges that are either strength, habit, or mindset based, and access to over 100 plus low-calorie, high-protein, family-friendly meals. These are all designed by a professional chef who is certified in nutrition. These recipes are already in MyFitnessPal for easy fucking tracking. New recipes are also added each week.
We believe that fitness is for everyone, so this is our way of getting you started on your health and fitness journey at a price most everyone can afford. So what the fuck are you waiting for? We'll see you in the Patreon. All right, we are here with Tara Laferrara. Did I get that name right?
You did.
I always struggle with your last name. It's a tongue twister for me.
It is, yeah.
It just rhymes. It just goes.
It does.
Like Tara Laferrara.
Tara Laferrara, yeah.
So excited to chat with you today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think connected Instagram, TikTok, one of those social media platforms. And I just love the message that you give out there, that you promote, especially about strength training and as it pertains to women and everything, because there's a lot of bullshit out there around strength training for women and just strength training in general. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I feel like every time I talk about it, I'm like, oh, maybe it's kind of going away. It's a little bit less, but no, it's still there.
Oh yeah.
For sure. Now, before we get into all that, I would like to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself to our audience. Give a little, your little 30-second spiel if you have one.
Let's try and make it 30 seconds.
Or make it as long as you like.
You could take as long as you want.
There are no rules.
I was an athlete growing up. I grew up with 3 brothers. I was the fastest and strongest in the family. Still am. Thanks so much. I ran track in high school and college, and that was like my identity. I was never great at school. I just was an athlete. And then as soon as college ended, I was like, who am I? What am I doing with my life? And I started running long distance. Didn't really like it. I was a sprinter. I just started doing anything that I knew. And then a friend of mine asked me to go do a boot camp at a park. That's really when I got into fitness. I had been putting it off for weeks and weeks and weeks. And I was like, I'm going to go. And I was like, this is awesome. It was competitive, super fun, very supportive. And about 6 months later, I got my group fitness instructor cert. And then it's been 10 years since then. I've been co-owner of a gym. I've had an online business for 5 years. I have all sorts of certifications in kettlebells, mobility, strength training, yoga. And now it's like, I feel like I'm put on this planet to help people understand how beneficial strength training is and how much it can change your mindset, especially for women.
Yeah, I love that.
So you said you're the fastest and strongest in the family. How many brothers do you have?
I have 3 brothers, 2 older, 1 younger.
Do they take that as a personal challenge when you say that? Or are they just like, no, it's true?
No, it's funny. I love the gym. I love to work out. I'm sure you guys do too. Just fitness is in our blood. It's not in my brothers at all. Like my 2 older brothers, I'm like, have you ever stepped foot in a gym? Like they never went to mine when I was in Denver and co-owned a studio. Like they never even went in it. So no, it's just been me.
And you've done a variety of different things, obviously, in the industry, from owning a gym, which is incredible. Was that in Denver that you owned a gym, or are you still a partial owner of that gym, or?
No longer. Nope. I'm in Austin, Texas now. I've been here about a year. I lived in Denver most of my life, and I was there for about 3 years at that gym. That gym's still running. It's awesome. It's still in Denver, but I do everything online now.
Nice. Yeah. What made you move to Austin?
Lived in Denver for a long time. I was done with the snow. I know you guys are East Coast and are probably getting the cold already. And I love it in the fall. Like that's the one thing I miss right now. Today it's going to be 95 degrees, you guys. 95. But we were like, let's try somewhere warm. Let's try somewhere different. And it has a very similar vibe to Denver, but it's just warm and people are super friendly.
Yeah, I love Austin. I was just there in July.
Yeah,
so fun.
Yeah. And the food
so
is
fun.
amazing.
Oh my God, the food.
So good.
So
Such
good.
good food.
Have you been to Valentina's Tex-Mex yet?
I haven't, no.
Oh my gosh. It's outside of the city. It's a little bit of a drive, but it's worth it. It's a little food truck that does barbecue and they do like breakfast tacos. So if you go check it out. If you love barbecue, you're in Austin. I'm assuming you love barbecue.
Yes.
Get the Real Deal Holyfield. It's a breakfast taco.
Oh wow.
Right.
One of the best things you'll ever eat in your life.
Holyfield.
Real Deal Holyfield. Yeah.
I mean, with a name like that, it better be the real deal.
Right?
Right.
I tried Terry Black's and that was amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Good.
Oh my God.
The two that I really enjoy are La Barbecue and Franklin's, but the lines are like 2 hours.
Yeah.
You just have to.
Good luck getting some. Yeah. Because they'll still out right away.
But food trucks are awesome because you just like pop in, grab what you want and leave. And it's so good.
Yeah.
Best food ever right there in food trucks.
I went to a country western bar there too. That was fucking cool as hell. They had food trucks outside. I don't remember the name of it. And there was like line dancing and they had the best like live music. I'm like, this place rocks. Like it was probably straight up from like the 70s, with like the little red lights and.
Yeah. And you're in Maine, right, Beth?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Where are you at, Matt?
Ohio. Nothing special about my state.
You know that there's one thing about Ohio that I've been wanting to go to is the amusement park there. What is that
Cedar
one called? Yes.
What is it called, Matt?
America's roller coaster is what they call it.
Really?
It's got some of the best roller coasters in the world, honestly.
I'm an adrenaline junkie and I've been thinking about going there for a really long time, but
do it.
I just like, what else do you do in Ohio?
Matt's an adrenaline junkie
absolutely
as well. He just went whitewater rafting and then you've been skydiving and what's next, Matt? Right?
I don't know what's next yet, but I started thinking about jumping off of a bridge at some point, I think. So I don't know. Maybe I'll find one to jump off.
I went bungee jumping in South Africa. It was the coolest experience ever.
So travel's a big part of your life then.
Huge part. Yeah. Which is why I really wanted to make online just where I am able to work. So I can just kind of do it anywhere.
Yeah. That's the coolest part.
That's what we're doing this for with our clients, and everything that we're doing online, right, is helping people make this into a lifestyle that they can stick with. So obviously you're very fit, you're very strong, and you're still doing the things that you love and traveling. And that's one thing that people always, I guess, misconception about traveling is like, you can't reach your health and fitness goals while doing that. You can.
100%. Yeah. And you could still also enjoy travel and, not totally worry about the calories that you're eating or how much you're actually moving to. I really try and give people a mindset of like, life is about balance. It's not black and white. It's not good or bad. It's like, if we want to be sustainable and keep this long-term, we have to live in the gray. And sometimes that includes both sides, but the more you put like a restriction on something, especially when you're traveling, the less likely you are to enjoy that experience.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Absolutely. What do you feel is the biggest struggle for women to actually even get started in strength training?
Yeah, I think it's kind of twofold. The first is like the person that has done the cardio, the hits, the stuff like that in the past. And strength is a different mindset. It's longer rest periods. It's not as intense. It's way less exercises. So they're like, well, I can't rest. Like I need to just be doing there. I'm going to do jump jacks in between my deadlifts. I'm like, what are you doing? But that mindset shift is tough. Like it's a big shift of energy and like doing something totally different to see that process or progress over time. It just takes a long time. So there's that person that's like the cardio person that has worked out a lot in the past. And then there's a person that maybe just doesn't understand much about strength training. And so it can be very intimidating and can be a place of, I'm scared I'm going to get injured. I'm scared I'm going to get hurt. What am I doing? Why am I doing this? They just don't really understand it as well. And I think there's so much knowledge out there and so much information that it can be very overwhelming. And so finding people like myself or you guys to go to for advice is awesome because we're out there, trying to put out the good information, but of course, there's a million other people that are trying to fill their feeds too.
Yeah, cardio. And that's a very common misconception with especially women, right? Is just being stuck in that cardio mindset and constantly chasing that elevated heart rate and doing jumping jacks in between sets. Like that's something that I'll come across a lot with my clients is I'll find out that they've been doing cardio in between their sets. I'm like, I didn't set it up that way. Like, so I have to ask them, why are you doing this? You know, I just didn't feel like I was working hard enough. Essentially what it comes down to.
Yeah. Or they're wanting more, there's not enough. It's like, okay.
Exactly.
Less is more, especially when it comes to strength training.
Oh my gosh. Yes. And I can resonate with that though. I used to do hits 5-6 times a week. I'd go in there and be like, I want to get sore. I want to be exhausted. And I'm competing with the next person, even though they don't even know it. Like I'm just an athlete in my blood. I'm like, yeah. And so going to like from 60 minutes of hit to like 4 exercises where I take half the time as rest. I'm like, what is the difference here? Like, I don't get it. But really being able to trust the process and see that progress and like see progressive overload and getting stronger is so important. It's just, again, people want fast things. They want instant gratification. Yeah.
So let's talk about progressive overload. Would you like to explain to our listeners, like what exactly is progressive overload? Because I think, like you said, people are doing HIIT and they want all these different workouts all the time, not realizing when you're giving them 4 strength workout or 4 workout, exercises to do for the whole entire month. They're like, what? I'm not switching every other day?
Yeah. Okay. So progressive overload can be a lot of things. It can be you're just getting stronger over time, which means you're adding more weight and seeing that weight increase on the bar or the dumbbells that you use. You can also, progressive overload can include increasing depth. So, your squat getting deeper. Maybe you hit a new variation of a movement. Maybe you hit a pistol squat or a higher step up. That can be progressive overload. Also, if you don't have extra weights, adding more reps, so more volume, putting more time under tension. Maybe you can squat 50 pounds today, and then next week I can be like, I can squat 50 pounds with a half rep. So there's a lot of different ways to approach progressive overload over time. I think people think it's just like the more weight, the better, but there's so many other ways to do it. And it's just really beneficial to take progress photos or videos or, write this stuff down so that you can see it in action, like see that progress over time.
Yes, tracking your workouts is huge. I have books of like these.
Going back years.
I'm like a writer. I love writing it all down instead of like.
I am too. There's a lot of cool apps out there, and even my app does the same. It's like you can put it digitally in there and just have it. But I like the pen and paper.
Old school.
Like every week, I'll just write the movements down.
Yeah, it seems to I ingest it better rather than I'm old school.
It's a different portion of your brain.
Yeah.
Writing that down versus logging it digitally. I'm pretty sure that's that part of it.
I feel like I can go back in 2 years doing it this way. Like, okay, where's my 2020 book? I just have a date on top of them. I don't know if you can see it, like it says 2020, but or not 2020, 2022, but I'm unorganized as hell. My shit's everywhere. But it's just in books.
It's funny that you said, like, I was writing down the date today and I was like, it's 2023, right? And I was like, whoa, I gotta chill out for a second.
Yeah, let's pump the brakes there a little bit.
I can't believe it. 2020 is like 3 years ago. It's freaking like the Twilight Zone.
I know, it's so wild. It's so wild.
It is.
Yeah.
Let's not revisit that time. So let's not go back to 2020. We survived.
Yeah, we did.
Which that was tough for a lot of people, obviously.
Of course, yeah.
So something that's important to you is important to us as well is our relationship with food and our body. And I'm curious, having that athletic background, how did that impact your relationship with food and your body growing up and making your way through high school and college?
Oh gosh, I've had quite the relationship with food, which I'm sure you both have as well. So actually, I got kicked off my track team in college because I gained too much weight. I was binge eating. I was drinking too much. And my coach actually sent an email to me, but accidentally sent it to the entire team saying, if you don't lose this weight you came in at, I'm going to take away half of your scholarship because I got a full ride. And that was like, I didn't get kicked off, but I was like, I'm going to run away from this. Like it was so embarrassing. I was 20 years old. I had to move back home. I had to get student loans out for going back to school. And those like 2 to 3 years of getting out of that was so hard. Like I had a pretty bad relationship with binge eating and alcohol drinking. I know, Beth, you're sober and have been for a while, and I don't drink very much now. And I have a way better relationship now, but like going through those couple of years was really, really tough. And I felt like there was no one there to help or support me through that journey, even though sure there was. I just, 12, 14 years ago, it was like, oh my gosh. And yeah, it was tough. You think your media and society, and my mom used to tell me and my coach used to tell me to lose weight or be smaller. And I've always been this like more muscular build and have always had a little bit more weight on my body. And so I always thought food was such an enemy. It was like out to get me. That was the thing that just was really tough. But years now down the road, I eat intuitively. I don't really track anything besides protein. Sometimes if I want to gain more muscle, but it took years of kind of going through some really rough patches to get past that point.
Mm-hmm. What was the turning point for you? How did you come out on the other side? Obviously it was a process and it didn't just happen overnight as with anything, but reflect on that a little bit.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I tried, the lemonade diet. I lasted about 2 days with that. I did I was on Nutrisystem. My parents sent me Nutrisystem at my dorm room in college, and then I would just binge eat at night. I tried, the 6 meals a day, chicken, broccoli, rice for about weeks at a time.
Clean eating.
There was all of the things that was, 12 years ago or so. And then it was like, the turning point was really, I started going to that boot camp and everyone was super supportive and very just positive. And I was like, oh, these are the people I want to be around. Unfortunately, fitness people do like to drink a lot. So I did get into this bad drinking pattern with them, but at least kind of the food it would go away a little bit here and there. And then just like years of being like, okay with the food I was eating and not starving myself all day, which I'm sure you hear a lot with your clients. And then you just eat a bunch at night. And I think people still do this to this day, is like they won't eat all day and they'll just binge at night. And that's what I did for years. So giving myself more throughout the day and just fueling myself for my workouts better, all of those things really helped with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
More is better when it comes to food. Absolutely. Most of the time.
A lot of people just want to eat those little tiny mini meals, like the little bird meals. And then by the evening, they're like, I just can't stop eating at night. I'm like, well, how was your day?
Yes.
Would you have a fucking smoothie and a salad? Like one of those salads with just lettuce and tomato for your lunch.
Oh,
and then,
I had clients that would just be like, I'm just too busy, and just would drink coffee all day. And at 4 p.m., they're like, I'm ravenous. I'm like, of course you are. It's been all day. You've been working for 12 hours.
Yeah.
So a lot of that though, unfortunately, I have some older clients that are just like stuck in their ways and they're like so stubborn with that. And I'm just like, you got to just introduce it a little bit more over time. Yeah. And I love what you're doing, Beth, with the candy challenge, because giving yourself that little something makes the restriction or the guilt feel so much less, So I appreciate that.
Oh, it's like exposure therapy, right? And, just knowing that you can have it. I remember when I started it like 4 or 5 years ago, I still had a shitty relationship with food and I started the candy challenge and I was doing it. And people are asking me now if I'm going to do it. I'm like, no, actually that helped me heal my relationship with food. And right now I don't even want it. And that's kind of like where you want to get to. It's like, I know it's there. If I want it, I'll have it.
Exactly. Yeah. And like you said, it probably took you years to get to this point. Right.
Yeah.
But introducing it small, like you had, is like, I eat ice cream almost every night. People are like, oh my God, how do you do that? And it's like, well, because some days if I don't want it, I just don't eat it, not because I have to eat that candy bar, have to eat it, but it's just there and I make it available.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an abundance mindset.
Not a scarcity. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I think a lot of people sometimes will still say, I can't keep chips in the house. I can't keep this in the house. And it's like, well, you can. You just don't have the discipline or the mindset to be able to not eat all of it.
It also starts with saying that you stop saying that you can't do something.
Change your mind.
You're speaking it into existence when you say you can't do it. So
yeah. And then that's still another piece of can be diet culture. It's like, okay, well, you get out your chips and you pour them 6 chips and that's what you can have. And it's like, well, no one wants 6 fucking chips.
I know.
They just want,
exactly.
they want what they want.
Chips and salsa. You're not going to eat just fucking 6 tortilla chips.
Absolutely not.
Speaking of though, have you guys seen the TikTok video of the tortillas on a plate and it's 30 tortillas? And then he's like, I don't know, why are you giving me 30 tortillas? And he was like, oh, okay. well, is this better? And it's just the 30 tortillas just cut in chips and fried. And he's like, oh yeah, this is great. I'm just like eating them. Because it's like, you don't even
Same
think
thing.
about yeah.
I haven't seen that.
I haven't seen that yet.
Do you know who made that video?
I don't know. I think it's been reposted a couple of times, but now it's like every time I'm at a Mexican restaurant, I think of the chips. I'm like, I'm literally just eating tortillas right now.
Yeah.
Totally. Deep fried.
Yep.
I'll eat them all day long. I love them.
I want to go back to what you said about the coffee thing, because coffee is not a meal, as we all know, but people just drink coffee until noon or the evening time. And really, I don't think people realize that caffeine doesn't give that hunger signal to you. It masks that hunger signal. So you could physically be hungry, but because you're just
jacked up,
putting in all this caffeine into your body, you're just not aware of that hunger signal anymore.
Yes, for sure. And I think like, it's funny. I saw my mom this weekend and I was like, Mom, are you going to drink any water this morning? She's like, I had coffee. There's water in coffee. And I was like, Ma, come on. Like, you gotta have both. People just like, it's such a suppressant. Like you're not hungry, you're not thirsty. It's like when people used to chew gum instead of eat, it's just another thing that's like trying to, make you eat less when really you got to eat something with it. It's got to be a part of your lifestyle, but
until you drink water before you drink your coffee too. Is that what I just start while your coffee's brewing, just drink a little glass of water, hydrate and get started with the day.
That's a habit stacking thing that I learned from Atomic Habits. James Clear was like,
oh yeah, love habit stacking.
I can love that.
8 ounces of water before you have your coffee or whatever before something else. And it's just a nice way to add in something that's small.
I love that book so much. James Clear is the author of that one. And I just made a TikTok video this morning about going on a 10-minute walk after you eat your meal, to get some movement in, help your body digest. And that's just habit stacking at its core right there.
Yes. 100%. I think it's a really great idea.
If anybody's listening, go buy that book. I love the physical copy. I have it on hardcover. We've probably talked about it on this podcast before. I can't recall, but
probably.
Okay. So strength training. I would love if you could give us an elevator pitch, for why women should start strength training.
I feel like it's funny. I feel like I post the same stuff all the time because that's what I believe in and that's what I want people to hear. But if you want to sleep better, if you want more energy, if you want to feel good going into perimenopause, menopausal age, if you want to feel more confident, if you want to up your sex drive, if you want to just feel better in general, do strength training. Like, I just can't say that enough. I mean, everyone needs to do it. And it doesn't matter how old you are. And it doesn't matter what level you're at, because a squat is still a squat, whether it's your body weight or you have 300 pounds on a bar. Everyone has to start somewhere. But once people see it, again, trusting the process, once people start, it's like you don't want to stop. And that's where, like, in a little addiction mindset could be good when it comes to strength training.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I agree. Especially as you age. I mean, me and Matt, we just hiked Katahdin. I'm going to be 50 in a few months. And we both fell really hard, but I mean, I could have broken my arm, but I feel like it could have been a lot worse if I haven't been consistently strength training for at least 7+ years.
You guys fell down? Are you okay?
Oh my God.
Oh boy. Okay, now.
I'm surprised Matt didn't actually die. He fell down a good 15-foot drop and he slipped with his phone. So it's caught on camera and he just went, I saw it happen. I was like, he's dead. He's fucking dead.
Oh my God.
I popped right back up. Adrenaline was going, but we've talked about this already on here, but I ended up gashing my knee almost all the way down to it was down to the bone, but I got lucky. I should have gotten stitches, but I was on the fucking mountain. I couldn't have gotten stitches. We were hours away from help.
Yeah.
But we credit our strength training to having stronger bones and having strong muscles and helping us get through that.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great testimonial right there. Like, you can fall 15 feet and still be alive.
Still don't recommend it, but but that's the reality of it is it makes injuries less severe. Like, one of the most common things we see, especially now as we're getting into this time of year, is slips and falls, especially when it starts getting icy out, because we're just not strong or we don't have the mobility. And that's what strength training provides for us. Doing lunging and squatting. If you can't lunge and squat, then you take a fall, you slip on the ice, you could get fucked up.
Totally. Yeah. I joke about it with my husband. I'm like, I just want to be like the 7-year-old, like badass with the muscles and just walk around. Like,
yes,
I mean, and I think it's cool, right? We're in a cool place right now with a lot of women going into strength training more and as we age, but it's my parents' age that I'm trying to still, switch that mindset to get into more.
Yeah, especially perimenopause and menopause. You're so right. I mean, I don't think enough women, they struggle so much with that, but it's their habits that will actually help it be a little bit easier on you.
And I've learned a little bit more. I took a certification earlier this year in fitness and menopause and training women through menopause. Really awesome. If you guys are interested, Maria LaCoy.
Okay.
She's here in Austin, but she has a course that's like, basically, if you have these symptoms like, insomnia, irritability, irregular, whatever it is, you can base your training off of those symptoms. And it's really cool to see how it's helped a lot of my clients, because as we age, all of this gets confusing and there's a lot going on. And so if you make sure that your training is like geared towards those symptoms, it actually makes it feel really good too.
What would you do differently for that?
Yeah, it just depends on the person. I mean, yeah, for instance, insomnia, I would suggest not HIIT training and not training after a certain time of day. Same with caffeine intake. It would just be, before noon only, but it would be a little bit longer rest periods, maybe a little bit lower reps, but it totally depends on the person and the symptoms that they're experiencing. But, as you get older, like even if you just do 2 times a week of strength, it's going to decrease a lot of the symptoms that you get anyway. And so starting before you get there, like I work with a lot of women in their 30s, late 30s, early 40s. And starting now is a really good chance to, go through the perimenopause and menopausal symptoms feeling a little bit better about themselves and their body.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
2 things you mentioned there was more rest and lower reps. And I really love the lower reps point, because that's a fairly common misconception too, is that lower reps is going to make women bulky. Like, because when you're doing lower reps, right, you are going to be pushing more weight and then you're going to get bulky, which, as we know, doesn't happen by accident. I mean, you're a phenomenal athlete, and I mean, I hope you don't take offense to this, but you're not bulky. You're in incredible shape. You you have a lot of muscle, but you don't have that bulk that people are thinking that it's going to happen if you just look at a weight.
Yeah, the term bulky, I think maybe it's who I'm following. I don't see it as much anymore, but it's definitely still around, obviously. But the word bulky is subjective, really, because some people will look at me and be like, "Oh yeah, you're bulky. I don't want to be muscular like you. Are you on steroids?" Like, I still get that.
Oh my God,
a lot. But to some people, like you guys, and that understand muscle definition, like I might not be. And so it's really just subjective for the person. So I try just to not use the word at all, or make it, nice. Or try and make it like of a joke. Like bulky to me is like the Hulk, right?
Right. Professional bodybuilders.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I
And trying to give people the opportunity to just understand strength training as a whole, like what people actually have to do to get to that level. And women just wouldn't do that. They wouldn't be taking steroids. We wouldn't be training at that level, eating that much food. Like there's so much more that goes into gaining that muscle mass than people just understand. And so I think like I really try and just break it down to like the basics for them to understand it better.
And I can apply myself to this. I'm a male and I've been strength training for almost a decade now. And I'm definitely not bulky,
Yeah.
If I wanted to, it would take a lot of fucking work, and I really have to be dialed in with my nutrition and routine and sleep and recovery and all this other stuff. And I just don't want to do that, And it didn't happen by accident. I didn't get bulky by accident, and it's not going to happen for anybody else on accident either.
Do you guys still get that? Like, do you hear some women still complain? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
In comments a lot, or we get the comment, 15 reps for toning is essentially the opposite end of that. The high reps for toning.
Oh, the toning word, you guys.
Toning. I want to tone.
I could go off on that word.
Let's go off on it.
Go off, Tara. We want to hear it.
Yes.
You can tone your face. You can tone your hair. You can tone your printer, but you cannot tone your fucking body.
You're not a fucking printer.
oh, I'm trying to get the long, lean muscles. So I do Pilates. Oh, I just like, it makes me so mad.
Yeah.
Is Pilates strength training? I do actually get this a lot.
Technically, yes.
It's like a nuanced discussion, really.
Yeah. Right.
But then like, is bar strength training?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right. Mm-hmm. Is hiking strength training?
Right.
I mean,
good point.
I've got these questions, and it's also like, okay, you know what? There is a form of that in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're consistently climbing a mountain, you're going to build some muscles in your leg. So, yeah, it's like, where do you draw the line here?
Look at cyclists, right? Professional cyclists, their legs are ginormous. Mm-hmm. And, you know, of course, they're doing a lot of leg work to complement that. But you know, a lot of it's because they're just pedaling every day and pedaling hard.
Yeah, exactly. I'm still on the Pilates strength training.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's so many different types of Pilates, right? There's like Lagree and there's floor Pilates and same with bar. But I feel like because you're just doing a million reps or you're, you know, holding a certain position, that could be like, is yoga strength training.
Right. Right. And it's all based off body weight too.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're on the Lagree and you have, you know, the cable resistance.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't think you can give just a flat answer for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People don't like when we can't give them straight answers, though.
or they're looking for a reason not to strength train. So they're actually going to other things, be like, well, I want to do that. Is that strength training?
Yeah. And I am fine with people doing what they enjoy, right? I'm like very much a person. I saw a coach the other day that was like, stop saying that you should do just the movement you enjoy. And I was like, I feel as though if you do not enjoy this thing that you're doing, you're just not going to want to stay with it.
Yeah.
And so even if you don't like strength training in the beginning, you will. Like, I will guarantee almost 100% of the people, if they started a strength training program and actually stuck with it for like 4 to 6 weeks, they would enjoy it. And then it would just be a part of their life, right? But then the other stuff, like, I hate spin class, you guys. I would never go to a bar class, but people love it. And I'm like, do that on your other days, you know, like, go to your HIIT class if you want, like, because you enjoy it, but also do this other stuff too.
Yeah. And like you said, you don't have to do strength training 5 days a week. You just 2 days a week, and then do your other fun bar and Pilates and spin shit the other day.
Yeah.
Spin shit.
My nightmare is like a soul cycle class. I'm like, oh my God, please don't.
It's like a fucking disco in there.
Yeah.
Dark and the lights are going fucking boom, boom.
But people like it, and they should keep doing what they like.
Yes,
you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So with strength training, then what is a good way that if somebody's interested in strength training, what would you recommend to them to get started with strength training?
Okay. So I'm going to give like the most basic understanding of anyone that can do a strength training program right now. Cause I literally just wrote it for my mom, 65.
Perfect.
5 categories. You've got front of legs, you got back of legs, you got your push, you have your pull, and you have your core. So literally you could just do 5 movements in those categories twice a week. And that could be a great start. So a squat, a hinge, a push-up, a pull-up, and some sort of core exercise. Dead bug, a bird dog, something like that.
I love those.
Do the sets and the reps matter? Not necessarily. 2 to 3 sets, 8 to 10 reps. Once that feels good, maybe add a little bit of weight to it. Maybe switch up the rep range. But do that 2 times a week. Just switch up the exercise for that second time a week. Do it for 4 to 6 weeks. And if you're like, oh, this feels easy. Okay, cool. Let's see you increase your depth. Let's see you get from your push-up from a counter. Okay, move down to a chair, move down to a couch. I think like people just think it has to be so complicated and confusing and barbells and gym and all the stuff. But it's like, if you just start from there, you'll want to increase. You'll want more knowledge and you'll want to get stronger. But fitness isn't really that hard in the grand scheme of things. And we're all trainers. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're all writing programming. I mean, I could talk about the benefits of strength training until I'm blue in the face, but like, if you don't just start with those 2 workouts a week, you'll never get to the barbell or the gym or anything else.
You have to get started.
You just got to start. And I think people don't realize that we all started from somewhere. Like you said, you started boot camp in a park. I started doing HIIT workouts at a fucking playground. You know, you just do. And then it morphs as you like grow and change with your fitness.
Yes. And your life, things evolve and change. Like I don't know, Beth, if you still do the HIIT workouts, but it's like I don't really do them at all anymore because that was a part of my life then. And now it's not. I used to do yoga 3-4 times a week because I was a yoga instructor. Now I'm like, that's not really my thing right now. And that's okay. But in the grand scheme of things, the squat, hinge, push, pull, core has been the same for the past 15 years. It's just in different variations or how I've done it.
Yep.
And those 5 things that you mentioned, those are the things we do every day in life, whether you realize it or not, which is why we put such a priority on them.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's like, sit down in your chair, get up, go to the toilet. I know you're scrolling on your phone. Like, get up, feel how that feels,
That's a
like
squat.
Every little thing we do is already fitness. It's just having the correct form and technique in mind so that when you do it in real life, you don't get injured. You feel stronger in the move, putting your suitcase up in the airplane, like all those exercises are just functionally what you do in a normal life.
Yeah.
Functional fitness.
And we hear this all the time. The age old, I guess, meme at this point is bending over, picking something up and throwing out your back, right? Well, that's just a hinge. That's all you're doing. That's a hinge.
Exactly.
So if you're throwing out your back by doing that, we need to talk because we need to get you stronger.
Yes. And I think another misconception with strength training is that people are afraid they're going to get injured. I'm sure you've heard this too before.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to deadlift because I'm going to hurt my back. When really, if you think about it, the deadlift makes you stronger so that your back doesn't get injured. So that when you do pick up your box, it's like, I know what I should be feeling. It's just finding that mind muscle connection of like, what is happening in this movement that I can then translate it to everyday life. But it's tough because they might have injured their back at one point in their life picking something up. But that's just because they weren't taught the correct form or understood muscle patterns or just exercises in general. But obviously, like you said, with falling down, like it helps mitigate injuries. All right, could you still get injured? 100%, knock on wood. Hopefully none of us do, but it mitigates them overall.
And not only that, but as we age, it helps us maintain our own independence, getting into our 80s and things like that, or whenever people start looking at getting assisted living and things like that. It's because you're not strong enough to support yourself, essentially, for a lot of people, at least.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Do you guys ever think about like being in your 80s? I'm like, I wonder.
I'd rather not.
That's gonna be.
I do. I'm not too far.
Shut the fuck up, Beth.
Well, I'm the closest to all you guys in here, but
okay, that's fair.
I just want to be able to get off the floor. I want to do what I'm doing now. I don't want to be on a ton of medication, and I want to be able to still be hiking at 80. I was hiking Katana one time. There was a 90-year-old man in front of me, like finishing the Appalachian Trail, and I was like,
"That's incredible."
Yeah,
amazing.
It's so amazing. He was with his son, and I was like, if this guy is getting up this mountain, then I can totally do this.
And he did the entire AT.
In pieces throughout his life.
It still counts. Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh my God, of course it does. Yeah. When I see like an older person, 80s, 90s, whatever, 70s, doesn't matter. When I see them like super in shape or on a hiking trail or something like that, I get so inspired. I just am like, if they can do this, you guys can do this. Like,
totally.
You can drink the water before your coffee. You can have a better relationship with food. Like, I think that's the coolest part about strength training, in which I try to preach as much as I can. If you can lift your body weight, if you can deadlift 100 pounds, if you can do 10 push-ups on your feet, why can't you have a better relationship with yourself, with your partner, with food, with your employer? Why can't you start your own business? Like that, what you feel in the gym shows up in so many other aspects.
Yes.
And you don't understand it until you're actually in it and step away and you're like, oh shit.
It's very empowering.
I did that. Yeah. It's so cool.
Yeah. I've had clients after working with us for 6 months. They came into it with a goal of fat loss, right? Like many people. But then, at the end of it, they didn't lose much weight, but they started strength training. And they're like, I never thought in a million years, I'm 60 years old, and I never thought that I would fall in love with strength training, and that's what they're telling me. And I'm like, that's fucking mission accomplished. Like, I love that.
Yes. That is like music to my ears, you guys. I'm not a weight loss coach. I I very much like, could you lose weight with my programming? Absolutely. But like, I get so much more excited and I feel so much more proud of my client when they tell me something like that. I never thought, did you see that? Yeah, I did. I'm like crying over here. So excited.
Yeah.
Like the best feeling.
Yeah. Just making people into badasses.
The best.
Lifelong goal right there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It makes me so sad when I hear women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s say, I think it's just too late for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's never fucking too late. As
no,
long as
it's
you're
not.
breathing.
It's not too late for you ever.
Yeah. And unfortunately, with that mindset, it's so much harder to change because they're in this such negative. Whereas if they don't think that they can do that, or what other pieces of their life are they giving that same mental attitude to? I can't wake up early to drink water before coffee because I don't want to get up earlier. I can't, a huge thing for me is not having my phone before I go to sleep. And that's how I feel like my sleep has gotten so much better. If I'll tell a client that, they'll be like, oh no, I can't. I have to watch a show on my computer or on my phone before I go to bed. I was like, okay, well, if you can't, then you can't. I'm not here to change your mind. You've got to really want to make that flip of the switch to be able to have that.
That phone in bed thing, that is such a problem for so many people.
Oh, yeah.
Mindlessly scrolling through, people watching us on TikTok or scrolling through TikTok, mindlessly scrolling. Like, why am I getting a text from this person at 3:00 in the morning with a TikTok video? Like, why are you doing this? Like, go to fucking bed.
That's when I get most of my DMs and I wake up and I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah. I'm like, get off your phone.
I know.
I'm the same, you guys. I have my phone right here.
I sleep so bad. It's menopause. I'm like, get off your fucking phone. Okay. Like 2 hours before you go to bed so you can create a sleep routine and maybe you would actually sleep a little bit better.
Yes. But like, I say this because that's what I do at night, but like, I definitely have my phone during the day.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, me too.
Yeah. During the day, I'm like, oh, it's like right here. But at night, my phone is in another room. I'm like, we don't have a TV in the room. It's not there. I also like don't watch anything while I'm eating. That's been a huge thing for like my relationship with
mindful
food.
eating.
Yeah. Just because it's just such a distraction. There's always things to distract us with. And it's like, obviously we want people to watch our shit because that's why we put it out there, but just don't do it right before you go to sleep.
Watch it at a better time. Yeah. And I actually don't have a TV in my bedroom either. I refuse to do it because the bedroom is for sleep and sexy time. So
yes.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just those habits. We have to break ourselves of those habits.
Yeah.
One thing I like to implement with clients that are struggling with that bedtime routine and being on their phone too much, we sleep with our phones next to our bedstand, right? We use that for our alarms. We'll check it in the middle of the night if we wake up to glance at the time. We need to take that temptation away from us. So what I recommend is taking our phone, putting it on the opposite side of the room. That way, when your alarm goes off in the morning, you actually have to get up and you're not tempted to check it in the middle of the night. You're not going to sit there and scroll on it, trying to get to sleep. So better sleep experience all around.
We actually just got like a regular alarm clock, like the one that like has the light and like gets brighter. Forgot what it's called, but Amazon. Okay. Yeah. Well, and so we just don't have our phones in our room at all anymore. And for a long time, my husband was like, well, what if somebody calls in the middle of the night and it's an emergency? And I was like, you know what? If they call, well, first of all, your phone's on do not disturb. So you probably wouldn't hear it anyway.
Right.
Second off, like it's just in the bathroom. It's right there. So if they need to call, okay, we'll be able to answer it.
Mm-hmm.
Which on that note, you can, if you use do not disturb, which is a very awesome feature, you can add exceptions to that. Like say if mom's calling in the middle of the night. So you can say, these people, if they're calling me in the middle of the night, there's something wrong. So I need to add them to the exception list. So you can absolutely do that.
Oh, I did not know that you could do that.
Yep. I know on Android you can do that. I'm assuming iPhone you can do that as well.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That would have been good because my son had a sleepover at a camp before he started school and I got calls in the middle of the night, but I had do not disturb on. And so I didn't hear them until the next day when I saw the messages and I was like, oh shit. So that would have been good to know. I'm gonna have to
I'll have to check the
research that.
So you mentioned alarm clocks too. So do you wake up to an alarm clock, Tara?
I am like a 6:30-ish kind of person. It's obviously getting a little bit darker. So it's dark at that point. So sometimes it's a little bit later, 6:45, 7. But it's really mostly for my husband. He's like it's a little bit harder for him to get up. 6:37. What time do you guys get up?
7 o'clock. And that's without an alarm clock.
5 a.m.
Beth's a little bit earlier than I am.
Yeah.
That's early. Do you use an alarm clock, or is it your body just like 5 a.m. This is it, let's go?
I have to use an alarm clock because it's an iffy situation because I get to the gym I have to pick someone up to go to the gym at 6. So okay. I'm like, I better set it just in case.
Don't want to let them down. That accountability.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. We have the garage gym now, so I can just go downstairs and start working out, which is really nice. But that makes it, sometimes it's like, oh, I'll just get there like 7, 8 o'clock. And it's like a little bit slower than having someone to meet up with and take them to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. I have a basement gym, but I was doing TikToking and everything else besides working out. So I'm like, I need to get a fucking gym membership. I need to like meet someone there.
It's hard.
Yeah, it is.
It's a lot of discipline to do what we do, because that temptation is always there to be mindlessly scrolling social media. So we can definitely resonate with how our clients and people listening can do that. It's easy for us to fall into that habit.
Oh my gosh, of course. And then all of a sudden you guys think of like content ideas as you're lifting and you're like, oh, just like film this real quick. And I'm like, this is like literally a part of my set. Everyone's like, too much rest. And I'm like, meanwhile, I just rested for 5 minutes in between my set because I'm trying to film something while I'm like, you gotta just.
Yeah.
Right.
Those 3 to 5 minute rests.
I love your videos with the wigs and the 80s outfits and all that fun stuff.
Oh yeah. I love to dress up. Halloween is my favorite. Very excited to wear all the costumes here pretty soon.
Are you doing anything fun for Halloween?
We're going to have a little game night at the house. So just a few friends over and just dress up and try to get some more Halloween decorations.
There you go.
Pretty low key.
What are you going to be?
Well, I've got a couple different costumes, but yeah, I always do like characters of a show or like a cartoon or something. Like last year we were Ted Lasso and I was Coach Beard. I don't know if you watched Ted Lasso.
Mm-mm.
Oh my God.
No.
Such a great show. But like this closet I said is like random stuff. Half of it is Halloween costumes.
Oh, I love that.
I've got a lot of things.
So I want to go back to strength training really quickly before we run out of time. This is a stupid question that I thought to myself before we hopped on here. What would be your recommendation to women that want to build up like that juicy booty? Because that's a common thing too, right? And I know you know how to do it.
Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah. So, okay. Are these like, I've got some follow-up questions. Are they already lifting?
Go the route of no experience with lifting. Obviously, time's going to be a big factor there.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say like start with like a full body program, 2 or 3 times a week, but focus on 2 glute exercises like each of those days. So we want to do some sort of bridge hip thrust kind of motion. We want to do some little lateral movement like abductions or squat walks or something like that, lateral lifts, cable lifts, and then some sort of hinge pattern. So like an RDL or single leg deadlift, potentially adding in a lunge, like a Bulgarian split squat is like my absolute favorite glute exercise.
Oh, you love that, don't you?
It'll set you on fire.
It's so funny because people hate it. They're like, oh, this is the worst. It's literally one of my favorite exercises.
Oh, you actually love it. It's like a love-hate relationship. Like I love the benefits, but I hate the feeling of it. So
I love it. I love it. So a huge fan of that. Like anything single-sided is really great. A high step up, a single leg deadlift, the Bulgarian split squat, reverse lunge, deficit reverse lunge, curtsy lunge, stuff like that. It's really good. And probably like at least 2 to 3 times a week, adding in just 2 extra exercises in your full body days, I think would be a really great thing. But also focusing on that progressive overload, working on it 4 weeks, following that scale of trying to get stronger and heavier over time or increasing volume. And then practice patience and focus on protein intake.
Thank you for that one, because I was going to ask, like, obviously we need to eat to grow. We need to eat to grow the body and build the body that we want. You're not going to build that amazing figure that you want, that you're trying to chase after by depriving yourself and eating 1,200 calories and not getting enough protein.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1,200 calories. That's very little calories.
I would lose my shit. Yeah.
I know.
Right?
I really, if I'm working with clients and they really want to build strength, but also get stronger and feel more muscular, I really focus on protein intake. And that's, there's a lot of different data out there, but typically for my clients, I say like between 0.7 and 1 pound of weight is how many grams you should be eating in protein. So for example,
that's what we usually talk about too.
Yeah, I'm like 145. I try and get 145 grams
on the high end of that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But you just say just protein and then don't even worry about anything else. Just hit this protein goal. Yeah.
I mean, taking notes, but I don't really typically myself and for my clients, I don't really look at calories just because a lot of us have had some sort of eating stuff in the past. And so I just say like, really focus on that moving forward. And then like you guys know, when you increase your protein, you feel a little bit more satisfied or a little bit more full. So maybe you don't eat a lot of that extra stuff that you would normally eat.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I feel like so many people are afraid of protein, or not afraid of protein, or they struggle so much with it. They're afraid of carbs, I mean, but they don't know how to get enough protein, right? They're like, well, your body will only utilize 25 grams per meal. It's like, no,
there's so much BS out there, you guys.
If people just really understood how amazing you feel when you actually eat more protein, and that your sugar cravings may actually diminish because you're getting adequate protein. It's like literally an essential macronutrient.
Exactly. Yeah. But there's so much confusion out there. People are like, don't eat too much and then don't eat too little. And then what do I actually do? And it's just like, if you give them like the most basic number, or maybe they say, okay, I want to focus on my protein, but I know I probably only need 50 grams. I'd be like, well, I'm not going to give you 140 grams. Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So for the next couple of weeks, you can, add in 10 grams and maybe your average goes to 60 the next week. And maybe it's like 70 the next week. It's like, people want this, like, what do I do?
Right.
We just talked about that last week.
Yes. Or they think protein is just meat. There's so much more than just meat.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to eat meat all day. No one's telling you
you don't have to
all day.
All day. And also there's so much protein in probably a lot of the stuff they're eating. If you eat fish, if you already eat chicken, like there's so much in that. It's like most of the time people just don't know how to measure or like see how much is actually in it. Like they don't know that, this equals 5 grams of protein already.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just about taking that data so that they can understand it better. And so that moving forward, they won't have to weigh everything, or they won't have to, track exactly where this protein is coming from, because then it just becomes an atomic habit.
Right. Yeah. And I don't track anything. I haven't tracked in a couple of years protein, calories or anything. I've actually been mindful eating for a while now. So I'm right aligned with you there, Tara. I love that.
Yeah.
And it's like, as a society, we're afraid of carbs, but we're not eating protein. So it's like Beth says in her videos, what the fuck are you eating?
Yeah. What are they eating, Beth?
I don't fucking know. A lot of peanut butter and nuts, probably.
That's where the peanut butter thing.
Yeah.
I do love peanut butter.
I love peanut butter. I have peanut butter every day. I love peanut butter.
Ooh, crunchy or creamy?
Creamy.
I'm a creamy.
Creamy? I love both, but crunchy will always have a place in my heart.
I agree. I do love some crunchy, but okay. You guys have Trader Joe's by you? I'm sure you do, or heard of it at least.
It's a little bit. It's like an hour and a half drive for me, actually.
Mine's an hour and a half away too. Yeah.
Oh, it's far. Okay, so Trader Joe's has this cookie butter.
Yes. Oh fuck. It's
yeah.
Yes.
So back in my past binge eating days, I had an entire tub of that. Terrible for like 3 days afterwards, and I can't even touch it now. I'm like, I don't want anything to do with it.
How did you feel after that?
Oh my God, it was terrible. But now that I have this better relationship with food, I'm like, okay, there's, sunflower butter. I could try granola butter is this new thing. Like there's so many other things out there.
I can relate to that in a certain way. So going back to like our drinking days, heavy party days, I'm sure a lot of people have a story behind their own alcohol that they can't drink anymore. But for me, it was Southern Comfort for me. Like I drank that. I drank like an entire handle of that when I was like 17 years old to myself and ruined that. Yeah. I mean, when I say I was an asshole idiot back in the day with drinking, I was.
Yeah, same.
So it ruined it for me.
That stuff is so sweet.
Oh, right. Did you?
Yeah, it was
my
awful.
brother used to drink SoCo and lime all the time. SoCo lime.
Yeah,
just gross. But anyways,
holy shit, we just went through an hour with you, Tara. Like,
I know.
Where did time go?
That was so fun, you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
So much fun.
Thank
you for being here.
Before we go, we would love if you could, promote yourself. Tell people where to find you. Do you have anything, resources or programs or anything that you want to promote here?
Yeah, so I'm Tara Laferrara on everything. Instagram, TikTok is where you see me a lot more than any place else, but also YouTube, Pinterest, Facebook, all the things. I have a strength program that's basically beginner to intermediate right underneath your belts, basically in 6 weeks. I also have a TL Method, which is my monthly subscription-based program. And I also work with one-on-one clients and to create custom programming for them as well.
Beautiful. Can they find that at your website?
Yes, TaraLaferrara.com. Lots of A's, lots of R's, but if you just throw it in Google, I promise I'm pretty much the only person out there with that.
That's true. Very unique name. And we will put that in the notes so people can find you too.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Amazing. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was awesome, Tara. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
Hope you enjoyed this episode, so why not share with a friend who needs to hear it? Send us a DM on Instagram or email us at cutthecrappod@gmail.com and join our Patreon at patreon.com/cutthecrappodcast. As always, we appreciate you and